Joining us now, two distinguished House members. We welcome back Marcy Kaptur, Democrat from Ohio. We welcome back Tom Price, Republican from Georgia, and chair of the House Republican Committee. To both of you. Marcy Kaptur, I really liked what President Obama just said. There is no getting off the automatic spending cut ramp. And to me, the automatic spending cut's the only thing that matters. You're not going to go against the automatic spending cuts, are you?
Well, you know, Larry, I wasn't for the super committee to begin with. I'm an appropriator. We know how to make cuts, committee by committee by committee. Each of our subcommittees understands every program intricately, and that's where it should have actually originally gone through. I think the problem here was the Republicans were not willing to compromise. Maybe not all Republicans, but enough Republicans that they wanted just to continue the Bush tax cuts for millionaires and repeal Medicare as we know it.
But Ms.
And cut the defense budget by half.
Ms. Kaptur, with all due respect.
Even the Secretary of Defense says that's deadly.
Yeah, but Ms. Kaptur, with all due respect, okay, I'm going to get to the Bush tax cuts because I agree that is the heart of the derailment of the committee. But I want to come back to what the President said today. There is going to be an across-the-board automatic budget cut. That's the key point. Will you support that automatic trigger?
Well, I'll see. I remember back to the 90s. I guess I would answer you probably. I would look back to the 90s when we balanced the budget, and it required a balanced budget submission by the executive branch. We tweaked it here and there, and we eventually got a balanced budget, and we saw what happened with the economy growing during those years. So you use regular order to get to a balanced budget. You don't try to contort the process and create these artifices like a super committee, which is very unrepresentative of the process itself, Larry.
Well, okay. I think that the Graham-Rudman type budget cuts in the 90s did contribute to the prosperity, Ms. Kaptur. I agree with you. Let me go to my friend Congressman Tom Price. Tom, I want to get from you. Isn't the President absolutely right? We must go through with the automatic spending cuts. That not only salvages the process, that will give you a total of $2.2 trillion in spending cuts, which matches John Boehner's original idea last summer that every dollar of debt increase has to be matched by a spending cut. I regard this as mission accomplished.
Yeah, that was the agreement. That was the agreement that was made in August, that if the committee didn't get to their level that they needed to get to, then $1.2 trillion in cuts would be made. Would that it were 2.2 or 3.2 or more. The fact of the matter is we need to reduce spending by a whole lot more, which is what the Republican budget earlier this spring did, up to $6 trillion in cuts. And with all due respect to my good friend Marcy, who sits on the Appropriations Committee and the Congress has not done the cutting that needs to be done, the decrease in spending, the downsizing of the federal government that makes sense to the American people. That's why we need something in place, again, like the balanced budget amendment that was up on the floor last week and that Democrats voted down in the House of Representatives. We've got to get our spending house in order. We've got to get our act together, and sadly, this committee was unable to do so.
Go ahead, Ms. Kaptur.
Larry, could I ask my colleague, what would he think about the tax cuts for those who are millionaires and billionaires in this country? Does he want to extend those special privileges to the top 1%, or is he willing to put some of that on the table? That was why Republicans backed away from the table in the super committee.
Marcy, it's a great talking point. The fact of the matter is that our budget that we passed earlier this spring actually closed loopholes and increased revenue to the federal government by closing loopholes. We were for closing loopholes before closing loopholes was cool. We believe that a broader base of taxpayers and a lower rate for all. Absolutely. Look, Marcy, that's just a talking point that you've been fed by your leadership, and it's simply wrong. And the American people are sick and tired of people not getting together and solving the challenges that we face. We've got to solve these challenges because the economy is going in the tank. The president has been leaderless on this issue until today, according to Larry. But the fact of the matter is we've got huge challenges out there, and we need to solve them, which starts with decreasing spending at the federal level so that the private sector can grow.
But Marcy Kaptur, I agree with you.
Well, you know, if you look at the Bush years and all the tax cuts, it didn't produce a growth economy. And in fact, those who are billionaires, even Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, are saying, hey, We want to put some of our money on the table. Why is the Republican Party in this particular Congress so absolutely committed just to the top 1%? That's what I can't figure out.
Well, it's not true, Marcy.
And in fact,
it's just not
giving
true.
those dollars to them when you want to repeal Medicare as we know it and you want to gut the defense budget, that's not responsible.
Well, now,
Tom.
Marcy, don't go there. As a physician, I will tell you that the Medicare has been gutted by you and your party last Congress when you took $500 billion out of Medicare. Don't go in that direction, because what the American people know is that Medicare has been essentially destroyed by the Democrat Party with an independent payment advisory board that's going to deny care to seniors, cutting $500 billion out of Medicare last year. What
Well,
we're trying to do is to save
true.
Medicare.
You know that's not true.
Read the bill.
I'll give you the last
as
word.
Ms. Pelosi said,
Why would
read
the
the bill.
Democratic Party hurt a program that Lyndon Johnson passed? Why would we hurt a program that has lifted America's seniors to so much better health from coast to coast?
We're going bankrupt.
We certainly wouldn't do that.
That's precisely what we asked at the time.
Negotiated pricing for pharmaceuticals.
The trouble is that Medicare program back in 1968 was estimated to grow by $9 billion over the coming decades. And it's now up to what? $70 billion? And we're going to have unfunded liabilities of trillions of dollars. I mean, it's gone bankrupt. That's the problem. But we'll have that as another good debate.
Well, you know what? No, it isn't
Good.
going bankrupt. But if we could have negotiated pricing on pharmaceuticals, we'll be a lot closer to meeting the needs of today and tomorrow. And the president's bill actually extended Medicare till 2023.
We'd love to have both of you back to have a good Medicare discussion. I thank you both this evening.
Great. Look forward
House
to it, Larry.
members Marcy Kaptur and Tom Price. We appreciate it.